Hey y'all, Brad Sullivan doing another series of videos, this time on prayer. I'm going to do videos on various kinds of prayer, and this first one I'm going to be teaching about praying this prayer bracelet. There are knots on this bracelet that you pray on each one of these little knots. They have a cross pattern on them, and so it's a little bit similar to praying a rosary in that you would pray on each bead, more similar than to an Orthodox prayer rope where you pray on each of these knots. Now, in a minute I'm going to show you all how to make these, but first I want to show you ways that you can pray with them. You see we've got a larger knot on this end and then a loop on the other, and that's how you fasten it together as a bracelet. You can make them shorter, longer, however long you want. Could go into your pocket instead of a bracelet, but the way I've done this is that I take this first knot, this big one here, and I pray an intro prayer to sort of bring me into the prayer. And so I'll pray, "Open my lips, O Lord, and my mouth shall proclaim your praise," which is a common prayer for morning prayer. And after that, then I pray on each one of these knots, and you can pray any prayer that you would like, but I'll just give you an example of one of the prayers that I pray, and that is from Psalm 62, verse 1. "For God alone my soul in silence waits, from him comes my salvation." And the next knot, "For God alone my soul in silence waits, from him comes my salvation." And on up each knot, I pray that same short prayer, "For God alone my soul in silence waits, from him comes my salvation." And that is a just meditative form of prayer that helps me just be in the moment and let everything else sort of go away for a little while, that I can leave that with God. Now, when I get to this loop here, I tend to pray a prayer that sort of brings me back around so that I can pray back out down the knots. Now, you can simply pray just once up the knots and end it there, or you can pray around this loop here. So what I do on that one is a prayer of letting go of all that's burdening me, and then bringing in, asking God to renew me. So I'll pray from Psalm 51. "Have mercy on me, O God, according to your loving kindness. In your great compassion blot out my offenses. Wash me through and through from my wickedness and cleanse me from my sin, for I know my transgression only too well, and my sin is ever before me." And then on this, going back around the loop, the next part from Psalm 51 as well, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from your presence, and take not your Holy Spirit from me. Give me the joy of your saving help again, and sustain me with your bountiful Spirit." And then, going back down, I could pray that same prayer that I prayed on the way in, "For God alone my soul in silence waits, from him comes my salvation." Sometimes I'll pray the fruits of the Spirit from Galatians 5, 22 and 23, and I might just pray on each bead, love, or not rather, love, or maybe joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. I've got them all tattooed here, so it's not fair, I know them. But you might, if there's someone particularly on your heart, you might pray that person's name on each one of these knots. And then on the way out, on this final knot, I'll pray the Lord's Prayer. So now I'm going to turn the camera around and show you all how to make these. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to actually make the prayer rope. Got the same paracord as before. Got red. I thought it would show nicely against the desk there. And the ends here, I've burnt and melted those so they don't unravel. And so I've taken 6 feet or so of paracord and folded it in half, which is a good length to have enough to be able to make the rope, or the prayer rope. So see, here's our loop on the end, and then we make the knots from here. So the way to make the knots is really simple. You loop this over the bottom one here, over the top one. You loop it around twice, first time, and then the second time you loop it again on the loop side. Right, so we've done the first one here, the second one here, towards that side, and then once we've got our 2 loops, we simply feed the same thread back through those 2 loops. So we've just tied a knot around one end, and then we maneuver it around here to get it tight. And at this point, you can still move it up and down to make sure you've got enough room here. You want enough room here on your loop that you can fit the large knot through it, but not so much that it just falls out easily. So there we go. And so now I'll make the second knot and show you this again. So you go around it once, around it a second time, and then feed it through. Now as you go, these knots can tend to turn and twist on you, so you want to check as you're going to make sure they're still in the same direction. There we go. And so I've got, yeah, same direction here as there. And if you look at the back, nice and flat along there. And same direction in the front. There we go. So now I'll do one more, and then I'll pause the video, finish up, and show you how to do the final knot. So again, 1 loop, 2 loop, it is a red loop, sorry, no blue loop. A little Dr. Seuss reference there. And what you can also do is pray on each one of these knots as you make them. So praying prayers into the knots themselves. All right, so there's 3 knots done. I did 14 on mine because that was a good size for my wrist, and you'll figure out what the good size for yours is as you go. And just a moment, and I'll show you how to finish the knot. All right, so now finished with the knots on this one. I've got 14 knots here, because again, that's a good size for my wrist. You can have more or fewer as you desire. And so for this final knot, you'll take the 2 ends, you'll put them here behind these 2 fingers with the ends hanging out here. You'll take this one and you'll form a loop with it and have that loop then over top of this one. Then you'll take this one here and bring it over underneath the other one, underneath here, and then over, under, and over. So we've gone under, now over, under, and over. So again, under, over, and you've got this figure 8 pattern. Now from here, you're going to keep with this same strand that you had, go counterclockwise, back underneath and around past this one, and you'll go underneath all of this and up through the center. You can see that, underneath all of that and up through the center. And now you'll do the same thing with this one. Again, counterclockwise, go past this hanging one here, past that, and then underneath everything and up through the center. And there is the center. And so now we get to pull the whole thing tight. I'll do a little bit of this. It takes a few minutes. And so you can see what I want to do is bring it further down towards there. So again, you just play with it till you get a good length on it. And you keep running these through until you get it fully knotted. I'm going to do that now off camera and then show you the final result. So now I've finished tightening that final knot. So the last thing you're going to do is cut off the ends and then burn the ends so they don't unravel. We'll see if how this works out. I can't see exactly what I'm doing. There we go. And so you just burn and melt those ends a little bit so they stay where they are. And now you're finished with your prayer bracelet. So here is the new final product, and I've got a couple links below that have some other videos of how to make these, videos that I used to learn how to make these, as well as, again, a more detailed video on how to make this final knot. So I hope this has been helpful, that you'll be able to use this prayer tool, and I look forward to bringing you more videos on prayer and various ways to pray. Blessings to you, and may peace be upon you.